So you've Googled how to start playing golf.
Lots of stuff out there.
Lots of stuff. Welcome. My name is Ryan. I'm a PGA golf professional.
I'm Aaron. I own 1611 Indoor Golf Club and a swing instructor over here.
Do us a favor, hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. We do everything from what we're talking about right now, intro to golf stuff. We're going to be doing a lot more instruction over the next couple of months and swing tips and different drills.
Correct.
We also do club reviews, pretty much everything performance-based you can think of from golf.
Get through all of it.
Where can they find you on like Instagram, Facebook, all that?
Everything's under 1611 Indoor Golf Club across all platforms.
I'm just going to throw you for a loop. And for me, everything's going to be under Ryan Miller PGA. So, getting into the game of golf. Let's start with what are some of the things you wish before you ever picked up a golf club you would have known prior to doing that?
So I'd say probably the biggest thing and thing that we see here is people go, I want to start playing golf, and they go to big box store or academy or something and just grab a set of golf clubs off the rack and go start beating on it, and they find how difficult the game is, and lots of times your clubs will make it more difficult on you. Maybe it's not the right length, not the right lie angle, all these kinds of things, or just those clubs from academy and stuff, the technology isn't really there, and it just makes it more difficult to play the game. So getting fit would have been something that I, right off the bat, think that all golfers should do, and I should have done whenever I was growing up.
So, and we're going to say this with a little asterisk because obviously there's a cost perspective to this.
Correct.
If you're not sure if you want to play the game long term, then obviously a less expensive version, because golf clubs, let's be frank, if we look at both of our golf bags, there's probably about $5,000 worth of equipment per bag. And so we're not saying that we're going to dive you into that end of the into the pool.
No,
but
not yet.
But knowing we can still do a custom fit to a point box set that you can get in and out for $500.
Yep.
And that's really, if you're starting off and you're not sure you want, that's where I would say, but start with talking to a golf professional, either here at 1611, Maverick Performance Golf. It doesn't really matter. Your local club pro, even
get some
professionals.
opinions.
Yeah, even the professionals at some of those bigger box stores. Don't just go into PGA Superstore, Golf Galaxy, Dick's, whatever, and buy the first thing you see and run out.
Say, I like this brand because it looks cool, and just walk out with it.
Right. Because you might be a bigger guy with a faster swing speed, and you might walk out with a regular flex. Well, you're going to be working against yourself there pretty extensively. So, with that being said, let's talk a little bit about golf clubs, because there's I think that's probably the biggest misunderstanding when it comes to beginners. Like, well, where should they start in the spectrum of golf? So realistically, and I'm going to say there used to be 3, there's probably 4 types of manufactured golf clubs now.
So like Ron was saying, we've got different kinds of golf clubs. You basically have your game improvement, kind of one step down from that would be between kind of a player's iron and a game improvement. Then you have kind of a player's iron cavity back type, and then you have your muscle back or blade style. So you kind of have 4 types now. Beforehand, it used to just be, game improvement, cavity back, blade. That was it. And then now most of the manufacturers have at least 3, some 4 lines of clubs within their manufacturer.
There's a lot of lapse over when it comes to irons now. It's not as cut and dry as you're a tour player, you need to be playing a blade. Oh, you're a 30 handicapper. And listen, it's based on swing type more than it is scoring ability, because you might be the greatest putter on the planet and hole everything out from inside of 30 feet, or inside of 30 yards on the green, but maybe you have a really hard time getting the ball up in the air. And so don't take it so much as advanced player, beginner player. Take it more as swing type.
Yep.
And when we say that, swing type, there's always going to be, obviously, path and plane are a big thing. First and foremost, again, not just in equipment, but in instruction, get professional help.
Yes.
Start off the right way. You'll be more efficient with your practice time.
Yes, it would be way easier in the long run to get, not saying you have to do a whole series for $5,000 of all these lessons, but like, go talk to somebody and get some basics on stance and grip, or maybe watch some of the stuff that we have, or we'll talk about some of those basics on stance and grip. But getting you into a club right off the bat, we'll start at the high end of kind of your max game improvement. This one that we have here is the Cobra. Things that you see with your big game improvement irons, number one right off the bat, the sole, the bottom of the club where the number's stamped. These are going to be a lot bigger, a lot wider, fatter, chunkier soles. and those are made to, most of the time, get through the turf a little bit easier,
Correct.
help get the ball launched up.
Well, and keep the toe to heel more stable.
Correct. Yeah, we're
All
gonna
about forgiveness with
when
this
it's
one.
coming through the turf. We don't want it wiggling and doing a bunch of stuff. So that fat sole helps out with that. Also, when you get to the back of it, you can see what they call kind of a big cavity in there. So there's a gap between like the back of the face and where the back of the club is. They move weight around in there and drop it down to the bottom and move CG and all these technical things. But all this is done to help you maximize launch and get you some ball speed and those kinds of things. And these kind of golf clubs, if you are somebody who's, say, maybe a better player and you're really wanting to work the golf ball right, left, clubs like this are really made to hit it high and hit it straight. They're not, obviously, yes, you can move it left and right, but they are typically made to high and straight.
Right.
That's what we're looking for.
So if you have a hard time maybe getting to what we call a negative angle of attack, i.e. you're hitting down on the golf ball, this is going to be more kind of what you want because you're putting more mass beneath the golf ball to create that height. And like Aaron said, the forgiveness because of how the cavity back works, because you're not going to hit the same spot on the golf club every single time as a beginner, you'll get a more consistent flight with something like that.
Yep.
Now you
Distance,
also have to
that
be
kind of
okay with a very thick top line looking down. So if you've played for a while, which you're probably not watching this video, but it'll be a little bit more awkward. So now this is a newer kind of, and I say newer, the last 5 or 6 years, this club has been introduced, this type of club has been introduced into the golfing world. So it's similar ideas to the kind of true game improvement thick sole. This still has a thick sole, but this is going to be your hollow body design.
Yeah, so it's forged face. The inside of it is hollow. They still have weight down in the bottom to help with that launch and stuff, but it's just getting you a little bit more into a player's iron, having a little bit less forgiveness of it. Something that I did skip on the first one that we talked about is whenever you're looking at from the shaft to the face is offset. So as you get into a more game improvement iron, you have more offset. So what it's doing is it's setting your hands a little bit in front of the club face to help you hit down on it, get that kind of launch and that stuff. That's something that you'll see start to go away as you get into the higher level or the more player, tour, or pro, or whatever you want to call it. Irons will kind of take that offset away. That's kind of where this one is moving to. This is a Srixon ZX4. TaylorMade makes, well, basically every manufacturer makes a hollow-bodied club now. It's a little bit lighter, a little bit hotter, springier off the face. Distance is kind of there. So that's kind of where you would move to next from the game improvement side.
And as far as a stepping stone of player, kind of what you're looking for is these are going to be in the same ballpark. The biggest difference would be the more forged feeling face. And on top of that, typically this looks more like a player's iron. The hollow body looks more like a player's iron versus with having that big cavity off the back. So you get a cleaner back line.
Yep.
So then moving on now, let's say you've been playing for a little while, and we're going to blow past these because this is really not who the video is meant for. You moved on, maybe you're a single-digit handicap now. Then you're going to move into more of the harder to hit things.
Less forgiving.
So we're holding two Honda clubs in our hand, the TR20V and the TR20B. The V is just a small cavity. So small cavity, a little bit of perimeter weighting to help make that sweet spot just a little bigger, and a little bit more mass beneath the golf ball for just a little help in launch.
Yep.
This is one of those clubs, though, that you need to start hitting. If you're not hitting the center of the club pretty consistently, you need to scooch on back up the line a little bit.
Yeah. You will not get, this is when we talked about launch and distance and that kind of stuff. As you miss these kinds of clubs on the face, your distance is going to be coming backwards. You will not see the same distance, the same pop, the same ball speed, launch, all that stuff as you miss the face on these type of golf clubs.
And on top of that, in addition to that, when you want to, say, shape a shot. So say you're behind a tree and you want to move that ball pretty hard right to left. You're going to have a harder time doing that with the game improvement stuff. This is going to move easier. So if you're at that point in your golfing career that you're starting to advance to where you want to start hitting different types of shots.
Yeah, start controlling the club face and doing some different stuff.
We're not again, we're trying not to talk, high score versus low score here, high handicap versus low handicap.
It's consistency.
It's consistency, right. And then the one that almost no one plays anymore, the blades. The blade is literally a hunk of metal.
Yeah.
Smallest, least forgiving, smallest sweet spot. it will move the most off of your strike, and I say that in terms of hitting it left and right and putting curvature on the golf
thinnest
ball.
sole, least amount of offset.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Not even PGA Tour professionals play these half the time anymore. Talking about like the Srixon line, the ZX7 would be the player's cavity, essentially this, and that's the most popular iron on tour with a few other ones. There are some blades out there, but it's really, really rare. So
yeah. I mean, look at my comparison is Ricky Fowler came out with those Rev 33s, and they are currently not in his bag anymore because they
look and feel great, and if you hit them on the sweet spot, but the problem is hitting them on the sweet spot.
you cannot miss the sweet spot. It is tiny.
Yeah. So that's golf clubs. That's kind of equipment. You know, that's irons. Drivers kind of have the same thing. So just talk to a professional.
Yeah,
go from there.
different size heads, shafts, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
We're not going to dive into that, but you definitely, when we talk about getting fit, shaft is a big deal, making sure it matches your swing speed, your release, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So let's move into golf balls just a little bit, and we're not necessarily going to show them. I mean, listen, you want something that feels okay, that also gets a little bit of distance because you want something that's a little more forgiving. There are legal and illegal golf balls, so just be a little careful if you're looking to do anything.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're a beginner and you want to play an illegal golf ball that helps straighten it, go for it.
Yeah.
Right? If that makes you feel better about it, it's gonna feel weird. But as a beginner, you might not know what that feels supposed to be like. Personally, I would tell you to go to like a Srixon Soft Feel.
Callaway Super Soft, any of those soft golf balls, because typically whenever you're starting out, your swing speeds are not that high. If you take a golf ball like a Bridgestone X or Pro V1X, any of those kind of tour style golf balls, they're going to be a little harder, and you're not going to compress them as much.
Right.
You're going to get kind of wild spins, side spins, and as you're hitting it with your with your driver, and really the big ones are like your chip shots and wedges and those things. The ball's just not going to spin, and it's going to be shooting off the green. So you want something that's soft.
It's kind of like going with a blade right out of the gates. You're working against what you're trying to do. Pick something that's a little easier to work with, and that's going to be that kind of soft, that super soft range from Callaway.
Yeah.
I forget what Titleist calls theirs now, but
Velocity.
Velocity.
Yeah.
Srixon Soft Feel.
Yeah, Bridgestone makes the E12 Contact.
Yep.
All those.
Any of those golf balls are going to be, plus on top of that too, let's be honest, if you go play golf for the first time, you're probably going to lose a few golf balls.
Yeah, you don't want to spend a bunch of money on it.
And a Pro V1 right now, subtotal before tax goes for, I believe, $52. It might be $54.
That's too much.
Whereas a box of Super Softs, I think, are $19.99.
Yeah, you can go to any big box store. Heck, Walmart now sells all of your Callaways and your Titleist, those ones that are that kind of golf ball that you'd want. Jumping into one more thing that we didn't really talk about, but when you're going out to the golf course to play, I saw, and I forget his name, we'll put something in there about him because he's hilarious. It's Mono, I think. Is that his name? It's the new guy on Instagram, like a guy from Mexico. Oh, so funny. But he had a really cool video with that Haley Storm girl, and he was talking about the tees and like what tees you should play on the golf course. And they stepped up to like the red tees, and then she was like, "Oh, we're on the ladies' tees," and he's like, "No, these are not the ladies' tees. These are the forward tees. So get the lady and the senior and all these things out of your head." We'll put a link down there about where to go look at the length of golf course you should play. You can base it on driver carry distance or 5-iron carry distance, whatever it is. There's stuff all over the internet. Type it up. Play the correct tees. If you go out the first time and you jump on the whites or the blues or the chain, you're playing something like, call it 6,000 to 7,000 yards the first time you go out, you are going to hate your life because you're going to shoot a million.
Play something easy, play something fun. You're learning the game.
Yes.
With that also being said, on a golf course, start with 9 holes. There's no reason to dive into 18 holes. That's the reason why so many of these driving range style places are popular is because of time.
Yep.
It's potentially 4.5 hour round of golf. You're playing 18 holes, and as you're learning, don't put yourself through that.
Yeah, and then you
go
get
play
out,
9 holes twilight during the week.
Yeah, you get out there and it's busy and crowded, and people are all around you, and you're waiting on people, and it's just you're putting yourself into a bad situation.
Come to a place like 1611 where you get that experience, but you can be in a private bag, because that's another thing too. Is a lot of people are very self-conscious about their golf swing when they first start off, and so having the ability to come into a place like this and hit on a TrackMan, which is a PGA Tour level thing, doesn't mean that you can't. It's not the same as equipment here.
Yeah.
All that is just very, very accurate. And But you can have a private bay in here minus that window.
Yeah, and you don't have the stress of somebody hounding you, people walking up behind you, playing with people you don't know, all these things. It's just all you need to do, and really I think the whole point of all this is to give yourself the best opportunity to get better. And what's the best opportunity and the best way for you to get better is to make it as easy as possible on yourself, because again, going back to it, extremely difficult game. Like, it's just hard.
It can be harder though, and I think that's
you can make it a lot harder on yourself.
So many people get into the game and they play for years and then they quit because it never got easier. And those are the people that are doing it the wrong way. I'd much rather you buy a $500 reasonably fit box set and take the other $500 you might have spent on something that was too expensive.
Go get some lessons.
Take some lessons, go practice, pay for a membership at a facility like this or a practice
range
facility.
or something.
And then just go do it. The biggest thing that as instructors, and I'm going to speak for myself because I don't know if you hear this or not, is people get so upset with themselves, upset with other people around them on the golf course.
Yeah.
It's a very big problem in the game. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
So do whatever you need to do to make golf fun.
Yep.
It's almost like when we're working with juniors, almost every lesson and drill is based around a game of some kind. Because we want those kids to have fun and draw with it. Just because you might be an adult starting, and maybe you are a kid starting off, in which case, hopefully you didn't check the terms and conditions or your parents are letting you watch. Legal disclaimers. No, but if you're an adult starting off, make it fun. You might not want to play the silly games the kids play, but there's something to that. Just because you maybe don't want to put a bunch of hula hoops around, a chipping green, in your mind you can kind of still do that and play a game in there. And plus that helps you perform because you're putting a little more pressure on yourself to execute a shot instead of going, I got 400 golf balls sitting here. It doesn't matter if I shank 300 of them.
Yeah.
As long as I hit a few right.
No, that's absolutely right. And the whole thing of, watching those people sit out there and get upset, and it's kind of rude, but it's very true. Like, when you're starting out, you're not good enough to get mad. Like, don't get that upset.
I'm not good enough to get mad.
Yeah, you haven't put in near enough time to get upset. A tour player, they should get upset. They put in a lot of time.
Well, and it's their job. They expect to make money at it, whereas we're not expecting a beginner to make money. It's a recreational hobby.
Yeah.
This is not, I want to make $100,000 this year off of it. I mean, there's guys on the Corn Ferry Tour, and again, if you're a beginner, you don't know what that is, that'd be the tour right beneath the PGA, that if they broke even in a year, they'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
But that's their job. They're practicing 10 to 12 hours a day. They're working out. They're eating right. Well, not all of them. Most of them.
Most of them.
And the tour guys, that's their job. They practice every week. They're in golf tournaments. They play in more tournaments than you even realize.
Yeah.
And this is meant to be a recreational thing for you. So have fun with the game. The second it becomes not fun, reassess.
Yes.
What will it take to make it fun? I'm not saying quit, but adjust.
Yep. So that's our first little dive in this series, just talking about getting cranked up.
Yeah, do us a favor. If you have questions on getting into the game of golf before you ever actually even show up at a golf store, a golf course, anything, please leave a comment, ask the questions.
Ask the questions for sure.
We will both do a good job on each channel to make sure that we answer questions on this video for an extended period of time. I know I'm bad about after about a month, I kind of move on because we produce 2 videos a week most weeks, barring travel and schedules.
Yeah.
But we want to help people get better. With that being said, too, the next video is coming out, and what I'm probably going to do, and I'm not going to speak for you, is once a week we'll have an introduction to beginner golf, and then the other video will be more of our normal things.
Mondays is whenever I'll typically be posting those.
Yeah, there you go. So follow along if you want to watch those before you get into it, or if you want private instruction if you're here in Fort Worth. I know I do virtual. I'm not sure if you're there yet or not.
I'm on the cusp of it.
So you can schedule virtual golf lessons or virtual, and they are a little bit cheaper than in person just because it's, we're not having to do as much. But golf is an amazing, amazing sport.
It's a great sport. It's a lifelong. It's really the only sport you can play for a lifetime.
My dad
Football, basketball, baseball.
No,
there's going to come a time that you cannot do that anymore.
Yep. My dad is 75 and we played Pinehurst, and he walked it a couple of weeks ago.
Dad's 73 and plays golf 3 days a week.
There you go. So do us a favor. Make sure to hit subscribe and then ring that bell. Can't believe I'm actually saying that out loud. That's important because as we post these beginner lessons, you
We'll
will
get out
actually
there
be
more.
notified when they come out so that you can kind of jump on the betterment of your golf game.
Yep.
Now, the ultimate goal is we're also going to continue on with more intermediate and advanced golf lessons.
Yeah, getting into more instruction stuff.
Right. So if you're a beginner, welcome. If you're an advanced player, hold tight.
Yeah. Wait. Thank you all for checking in.
See you in the next lesson.
Absolutely.
Our first lesson, next lesson.
Sure. That one too.
lesson.